Hello and welcome to the Sanderlanche podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about the works of Brandon Sanderson. Right now we are talking about Mistborn, The Final Empire, and I am Joe, and with me, as always, is
Jack,
Ada,
and Jamie.
Yes, we're all here together, and we are talking about chapters 30 and 31, wherein, hey man, the shit kicks off, let me tell you. Vin goes to a ball, which quickly devolves into an assassination plot against her boyfriend, which she foils by killing her arch nemesis. And then, we get some recovery time. She gets back to clubhouse, and she finally decides to tell Kelsier what's going on with the Ventures, what's their weaknesses. And then we find out Ellen's been following her, which we probably could have guessed from the spy thing earlier, and he gets some information on her as well. So that's where we are today. Hold on to something, everyone. The Sanderlanche is about to begin.
My revolution carries me in a moment lost in time. My revolution sets me free. I will flow across the lines. Bring them the brother in me. I'm searching for you.
Yep, after a couple of chapters or a couple episodes even, where there's kind of a lot of talking and exposition and stuff, we got some action in this chapter, or these chapters. So what did you guys think overall here?
take that, Shan Elarial. That was so satisfying. It's like, yeah, you go, Vin. You just plant those arrows straight in her chest. That was a really cool fight too. Just like that. I think that's probably my favorite action scene we've had in the book so far. But yeah, no, I just thought it was a really tight knit fight scene. I just enjoyed the action where it was going. I guess it was more than she's practice fighting against Kelsier or she's up against an Inquisitor, she's going to lose sort of situation. It's like this could go either way, really. And yeah, I think that was the main thing. The rest of it was a whole bunch of talking, which, I guess you kind of need. I liked the little moment where she admits that after everything, she still loved Reen. And then the bit where it turns out Ellen figures out she's a Scar and is actually totally happy about it. I'm just like, okay. All right, well, we'll unpack that when we get to it. But yeah, good chapters.
Yeah, I thought these were really good as well. I was super excited to continue reading the book after last week's chapters. And I was like, when we first started reading, she's back at the Venture House and everything's so lovely and just a little too perfect. I was like, oh man, stuff's gonna happen. And it did. And we got to learn about other characters who we didn't think were particularly important before. I don't know, for me, it's just kind of like, all right, here's everything you thought you knew about someone. And now we're going to change that up. And I feel that everything we're going to read from this point on, there's no slow burn anymore. It's just going to come at us full force. But yeah, I again really enjoyed these chapters.
Good. Yeah, we definitely learned some new stuff about some people who I think after one chapter we had with Shan, I was like, so, you guys, is there, they keep who's a Mistborn a secret. Is there anybody that we've seen that you think might be a secret Mistborn? And I was afraid I was giving too much away, but I don't think that... So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny.
When we read that Shan was a Mistborn, I replayed that conversation in my head. And also, I think it was last week's, there was another conversation that we'd had as well about, what do you think's going to happen in this story with Shan? Like, what's going on here? And then she died, and I was like, you were setting us up.
Wink, wink.
Oh, hindsight, beautiful. Yeah.
That may have been the episode before last, but yeah, we totally had that conversation where it was just like, so, Shan's got some sort of plan here. What do you guys think it's going to be? And it's like, I don't know, because really it was super unclear what her plan was going to be. But in hindsight, it's like, oh, that's why she didn't care anymore. She was just going to kill him.
Yep.
Yeah, these chapters, man, there's a lot of unmasking, right? We've got the gossip lady who's actually a secret informant. I thought that was pretty awesome. That was interesting. Yeah, she tells Vin just in time to go save her boyfriend, and then we see that Shan is actually a Mistborn. That was really cool. I didn't expect her to be a Mistborn. We knew she was a Misting, obviously, at least before, but it was very, very cool to to kind of get that unmasking. And then technically Vin gets unmasked a little by Ellen, so a lot of secrets being revealed in these 2 chapters. I really enjoyed kind of the flow of, now I know this secret, now I know this secret, this person's now dead, now I know this secret. So and then when Ellen finds out that Shan was a Mistborn as well, he's just like shocked and be like, how dumb can I be? Like, I think this is like his wake up call, right? Like more so than the previous chapter when he finds out there's obviously something going on with Vin. It's like he's realizing I have been a fool this entire time, and if I want to make a difference, I'm going to have to do something. So hopefully this is gearing him up to be more than just a side character. Maybe this will gear him up either to be a main player or quite possibly die. Who knows? But I'm excited.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even thinking about the fact that Vin's kind of unmasked to Ellen at least. And I think she mentions like other people might have seen me. I'm not sure. So yeah, there's a lot of unmasking. It's true. Okay, let's get started into these chapters. And the epigraph for chapter 30 is kind of. He's just like, most of the Terracemen aren't as bad as Rashek, but it's kind of easier to convince them that he calls them like simple men, not philosophers or scholars. So they don't understand that their prophecies say the hero will be an outsider. And so he doesn't even have anything, it seems like, against these Terracemen in this case, even with Rashek being like a huge jerk. He's like, these guys aren't so bad. But it's hard to stand up to this hatred and passion this guy has. And then Vin is back at Keep Venture and talking once again about how majestic it is. I don't remember if we've even been to Keep Venture again since her first ball.
Don't think so, no.
Other than, when Ellen comes home that one time.
Oh. Yeah, not on page, but I think it mentions that she has gone to more than one ball there since that first time.
Yeah, you're right. But they immediately notice that something is wrong. And Vin tries talking to a group of people, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to go over there now.
Which I straight up thought this was going to be like a public outing that she was a spy or a scar or something on behalf of Elend. And then that was completely...
Oh, yeah. Right there with you.
It was just so, like, eerie. I could totally see that. Then Sazed comes back and explains that basically everyone is freaking out because this is going to be the last ball. Maybe for a very long time. The other houses, the ones that are still around and not executed in the burning wastes of their boats, are canceling their balls. So they determined this is it. This is their last chance for like being seen and everything. So they've made House Renew so neutral that no one wants to be involved or even seen talking to her at this point. And they decide that they need to go and tell Kelsier because he's going to pretend to be an informant, and if he doesn't know something that's important, it will look bad. Which makes sense. I mean, it's weird that they didn't hear about this big news and everybody else did. And there's a great note, or like a little almost throwaway line in the annotations here, where it's like, it says, now if Sazed leaving her alone didn't hint at you that something was coming, well, you need to go back to foreshadowing school.
Yeah.
Did everyone get that feeling when Sazed left, that it's like something is about to go down?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Like, yeah, I didn't know what, but yeah, I thought something is definitely going wrong. It's like, Vin, fill your pockets with food and get the fuck out.
I was kind of like, no, Vin, go with him. Go get in the carriage.
Yeah, and it's kind of weird that she didn't, honestly, because it's like, you're not going to accomplish anything here. She said that she needs to leave stay for a while and leave when it won't make House Renew look weak, but no one will talk to her. She's like isolated completely. I don't know how staying is going to help. And also,
actually, you're just putting a spotlight on the fact that you don't have any allies because everyone can see you not mingling.
Yeah, exactly. And besides that, you don't really care how weak House Renew looks. You're not actually a member of House Renew, Vin. That is your cover. So it shouldn't really matter.
I guess by staying though, she could see who's aligned with who and sort of figure out what was going on.
That's a good point.
I think she wanted to stay also because she wanted to talk to Elend and she hadn't talked to him yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that it may well have just been an excuse because she wants to see Elend. And then she does see Elend, and he dumps her. It's very sad.
Yeah, I guess.
You're like, I wasn't that invested in this relationship.
That's a false relationship anyway. They're both lying to each other about stuff.
Yeah. And Elend is a little harsh, which is kind of funny because when he comes back to it at the end of these chapters, he's like, huh, maybe I was too hard on her. Like, after he finds out that she's been lying and possibly trying to steal from him and is secretly a ska, he's like, man, I was really mean to her, huh?
But he thinks she was only trying to rob him, the poor girl.
Oh, theft. Such a sweet little thing.
Yeah.
How difficult it must
and I
have
like-
been for her to know she would have to make that decision.
And I like how his buddy's like, to some people, money is important. I'm sorry that it's like good for you, I guess, that you don't care this girl was trying to rob you. But, some people might think that's bad.
I think the whole thing is very funny when you get to the end of the chapter, but like in this moment, it's kind of sad. The one line that really gets me is where he's like, "Don't make me embarrass you in public, Follett." I was like, "Ouch, jeez."
Yep.
And then she has her whole like, "Don't leave, don't you leave me too." Oh,
Probably the most honest thing she'd ever said to him.
right. And then she runs into Kliss, and as we've discussed, like Kliss reveals that she is an informant. And she's like, hey, let your uncle know that, he didn't have many contacts. He could use someone like me. I know a lot of stuff for the right price. And she even points out that she knows that what Vin told her at that previous party about House Hastings was an obvious lie. And it doesn't seem to have stopped her from spreading that lie, by the way, because we know Elend heard about it. So, but it's interesting that she immediately recognizes that. She's more clever than anyone has given her credit for so far.
Because I know it's not Kliss's fault because she has no idea, but my mind just went to the Dark Knight thing with Morgan Freeman, just going like you believe that your employer is someone who beats up criminals with his bare hands, and your plan is to blackmail this person? It's like, all right, Kliss doesn't know that like she's blackmailing Mistborn, but even so, I just kind of like imagined the whole good luck thing to her. Like they're gonna come down on her hard because like if she's openly implied that she's going to cause a threat to their plans, so they're going to shut her down.
She does pretty openly. Well, and to be fair, even after she knows that Vin is an allomancer, she's like, hey, this is something else that you can just pay me money to not talk about.
Yep.
So she's not terribly frightened, but she may not know the depth of, she may think she's, a soother or something and not realize. But Vin learns from Kliss that Shan Elarial is planning to have Ellen Venture assassinated tonight, possibly right now, possibly already, according to Kliss. It's like, yeah, it's supposed to happen as soon as he left the table.
And on behalf of Daddy Dearest.
Yeah, that's the kicker, where he's like, she's just like, if you want to know who to blame, though, gotta look to Straff Venture, because he would love the opportunity to let his nephew inherit instead. So he purposefully withdrew his soldiers from around. I don't know what Straff Venture gets out of that necessarily, except for having Ellen removed. I don't understand this plan. Elarial wants to assassinate Ellen for reasons. I don't know what those reasons are necessarily. And Straff is okay with it.
He told Ellen earlier that he thought, if you're in charge of House Venture, it's going to go into complete ruin. So, in Straff's twisted way, he thinks he's protecting the future of his house by getting rid of a liability and adding and making someone more worthy in his eyes to as an heir to the fortunes.
Yeah, but at the same time, House Venture doesn't look real strong if your heir gets assassinated, I feel like. But even saying, okay, Straff's getting something out of this. So is Elarial assassinating the Venture heir because they want to hurt Venture? And they're going to work with Venture to hurt? I don't know. It's a weird plan in my brain, and I just may not be figuring it out correctly.
I don't know. Maybe it's just Straff has been looking for a way to get rid of Ellen for years, and now he's finally got an option which absolves him of any blame.
And I guess they don't necessarily have to be working together. It could be that he heard about this assassination attempt through sources and is just going to let it happen. But Kliss knows that he's complicit in it, so I don't know. And Kliss is just extorting Vin at every step for this information. She gets her necklace made of sapphires, and she's like, so many questions and only one necklace. She knows her business.
She's one of those characters, like, when she first showed up, I'm just like, this character will not be important in any way. And now I'm looking at her and just going, okay, we're not done with you yet. You're going to, like, something's going to happen to you.
But Vin uses allomancy to just, like, squish her emotions down and be like, tell me what I want to know. And that's how she finds out. We kind of skipped straight to the discussion about Ellen getting assassinated and his father being complicit. But and they get rid of the kid Jastes, his friend from Lek Hall, which maybe that's even more what the Ventures get out of it, because we know that those houses are enemies based on stuff we've heard in the past. But then Kliss is like, yeah, but Lord Venture's also going to be in for a surprise because Ellen has some pretty messed up books in his possession. And he should be more careful about the things he tells his women, I think. So I wonder who that's a reference to. But then Kliss offers to keep her allomancy a secret also, as long as she gets paid by tomorrow afternoon. She's got, like, no shame, and I kind of like it, actually. I like her character now.
Also scary, how much does she actually know about anything? Like, she's calculating, and she knows what to say, when to say it. How much extra did she just go, you know what, now's not the time to share what I know?
It's true.
Also, it was a really weird line there. It's like, a lady must buy food, and as you can see, I need a lot of it. What?
Yeah, I think we'd been told before that she was kind of fat, so she's like, look how big I am, I need lots of food.
Oh, okay. I must have misremembered that bit.
She's no shame about that either, apparently. She's like, yep, I'm a big girl, need my food.
Yay, body positivity.
It's true. No shaming here. And I like wish, like, when the Obligators see those books after everyone bursts into Ellen's room with the commotion, it's going to be very interesting. Too bad Ellen will be dead. We haven't had the open execution of a nobleman in quite some time. She's got a mouth on her.
Yeah. Also, that just sounds like a Monty Python sketch. It's like you burst into a room, it's full of all these dead bodies, and you're just like, oh my god, look at this book!
I like that picture, yep.
Yeah, that's something for our fans to draw if anyone wants to follow that challenge.
And of course, Vin is going to go and save him. She's like, I have to stop this. Which, I don't know, was anybody surprised that Ellen dumps her and then she's immediately going to rescue him? Because I don't feel like you should be.
Not even a little.
No.
Okay. And she just kind of flies out and rips off her dress, flies out into the night, and manages to sense where this allomancy is coming from. Despite the fact that the pulses are hidden by what we later on in these chapters establish is people burning copper. We got, I don't remember if there's an actual smoker or if just the two Mistborn that are there are smoking also, but she finds them anyway, which we'll get into that discussion later. But they sent a lot of people on this assassination mission, 2 full Mistborn, and then, sorry, I'm getting to where it discusses who else is there. We know there's at least one guy burning pewter that gets knocked down immediately.
And it doesn't say a number, it just says several figures.
Yeah, okay.
She speculated there was a couple of coin shots and thugs, and I sort of had in my head it was about 6 people, but...
So, in any case, they're very serious about making Ellen dead here. Shan Elarial was not playing around when she put a crew together with 2 Mistborn, some thugs, some people who can shoot coins around, and she sees... like, Vin immediately intuits, despite the fact, I mean, just ignoring the mist cloaks, it's like, if Shan Elarial, somebody that important is here, it's because they're Mistborn. And there's 2 of them. So she's like, oh crap, this is bad for me. One guy falls down into the skylight when she shoots coins at everybody. And,
badass.
And then 2 more are getting up to their feet, and she says thugs, probably the other 2 are coin shots. And one of them tries to shoot her vial of metals away, but she uses his own push to send him flying off the roof. And basically, once she kind of alerts everyone to what's happening by having the pewter guy, stumble and fall through the skylight, she's like, okay, I've done everything I can. Hopefully Ellen takes that warning and runs. I got to get out of here because these 2 Mistborn are going to kill me.
I just love the look on Shan's face when she realizes what's going on. It's like, oh, god damn it.
I think the first thing she's like, you? Because, yeah, that would be a surprise, all right. The girl that you had absolutely no respect for is also a Mistborn. And then after she knocks the guy down and ruins their assassination missions, Shan is still just like, you, as she gets very angry.
Just blue screens a bit.
Yeah, well. And so Vin starts to run, and she's like hitting guards and using their armor to like throw herself around. And I guess okay, so I'm reading this so I can remember exactly what happens here. So somebody starts pulling against one of the guards by his armor, and he's holding on to the stones. And she's like, oh, I can mess up. Whoever's pulling against him, I can mess this up for them. And so she's like, sorry, friend, and kicks him free so that he gets pulled upwards and smacks into somebody in midair, and they both just fall to the ground, which is a hilarious picture. Like, this is the kind of scene that I want to see in the movie.
Yeah.
Where,
Oh, they better keep that.
There's like, it's all misty, and you just see this guy being like pulled towards the mist, and then she kicks him loose, and you hear smack, and it'd just be so much fun. And she thinks, I sure hope that was Shan. Which I guess it wasn't, because Shan shows up and the other Mistborn does not, so presumably that was the other Mistborn guy. And Shan shows up, and they start to fight, and Shan is better with daggers than Vin, and Vin's like, crap, I really should have practiced this more.
Happens when you only rely on your metals and not your tools.
Yeah. Really, Vin hasn't been studying that long, as Kelsier reminds us later, so it may just be that
Yeah, true.
he hasn't taken the time for knife fighting much yet. Probably did not expect her to need it this soon.
I like that she recognized that it was a weakness, though. That she didn't just go and was like, yeah, I can do this. It was like, whoa, hang on. I'm not comfortable with this. I haven't done enough training here. Try and get away, but yeah.
Yeah, I feel like she fought the Inquisitors, but that was more panic. I just have to get away. The last time we saw her, like, in a confrontation with somebody, it was Kelsier, and when they were practicing, and she was trying to come, like, force against force and just push against him, and was kind of stubborn and not wanting to give in. And I feel like you can see her progress here, and that she's a much smarter fighter now than she was, like, several months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Vin realizes that Shan probably has a lot more adium than she does, and she's also a better fighter, so can't run because she'll just chase me down and wait until I run out of adium. Can't fight because she's better than me. I have to figure out some way to like end this quickly. And she comes up with a great idea, which is pretending she ran out of adium and then burning it again, and using that moment of confusion when Shan thinks like, oh, she's run out, I can kill her now. And there's, wait, what? Apparently House Venture archers are shooting at them, and shooting arrows with no arrowheads, just made of wood, to try to kill them, because you wouldn't want to use metal arrowheads against Mistings or Mistborn.
Perfect sense.
So she sees, when she burns adium, she sees the arrows flying through the air, grabs one, and slams it, like grabs it out of the air, which is also a super badass moment. She's like arrow out of the air as it flies by, and jams it into Shan's chest, where it breaks off. And then Shan starts getting up, and she slams the second half of the arrow in right next to it. And
While
Shan
making a sword strike.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's fainting, and then it's a really good moment.
That was just incredible.
It's like it's like Aragorn chopping off the Uruk-hai's head. Any of those hero moments from your favorite movies / cartoons. Like, I just envision her dropping the adium for a second, and all her shadows disappear, and then, the look on Shan's face, triumphant, and she thinks she's beaten her, and then her swing in, and then all of a sudden all the shadows reappear going off in different directions, and her face of shock, and just, then the arrow hits her and her face, and then I'm sure she's shocked, and then the second one goes in and she dies. Just like, I almost wish he'd given her some parting words, like, like even the same words she'd said before, just like you, and then, death. But what we got.
I thought you meant
great.
you wanted Vin to give her some parting words, like Arnold Schwarzenegger one-liner.
No. I wanted Shan to say like a couple words before she died, but that's all right. No, it was a great moment.
I was sort of picturing like the Lord of the Rings thing, where she's like, no man can kill me, and she goes, I am no man. It's like a no country noblewoman could defeat me, and she goes, actually I'm a Scar. Bonk. that on your mind.
Yeah. You just got killed by a Scar. That would be really embarrassing for Shan. Yep. Now I'm just trying to think of
she didn't have much time to feel embarrassment.
Well, yeah, no. I'm now trying to think of a good Arnold one-liner there, and I'm just like, something about a broken heart is the best I can come up with. Yeah. But
No, there was one in Predator where he nailed the dude to the wall with a spear and goes, "Stick around."
I think you got my point.
But yeah, then Vin having
Actually,
one night runs away.
Well, she plants the arrow through there, and all of a sudden Bon Jovi just goes, "Shot through the heart, and you're to blame."
Shot through the heart, and you're to blame. That would totally work. No, yep. That's the perfect song. Now I want that to play here in the podcast.
Yeah.
Now.
Excuse me for firing Cupid's arrow.
That doesn't even make any sense.
I mean, do any of the one-liners that Arnold says make that much sense?
That's fair. Okay.
Ice to meet you.
Oh God, don't bring that one up.
So yeah, Vin takes off after beating a Mistborn in a fight. I guess kind of two. She knocked that other one down at least, and he ran off or something. We find out later.
Well, he could be unconscious.
So it's a pretty good night for her. All in all.
End result, yes.
I mean, she got dumped, but still. And really,
Yeah, I like how she ends the night sobbing, and you're like, it's a pretty good night for her.
Okay, well, yeah, that's fair. She's making some psychological breakthroughs, which I feel are really important. Okay, so...
It's like, with time, she will come to regard this as a win.
Yeah, totally. She's... I think another thing that makes this fight really good is, like, the personal... is kind of how personal it is, because Vin hasn't interacted with all that many people that we've seen, and Shan is just a really horrible person to her. And now, we talked about before, it was like, you are all like, man, I hope Shan gets what's coming to her. And she totally does. Her plan is ruined, and she's dead. What more could you ask for? And we get to another epigraph for the next chapter. And this one, he's like, other men worry about whether they will be remembered. I have no such fears. I worry about what they will say of me. Historians can make what they wish of the past. In 1,000 years' time, will I be remembered as a man who protected mankind from powerful evil, or as a tyrant who arrogantly tried to make himself a legend? Which I think is supposed to be really ironic, because it's like, all right, the Lord Ruler wrote this, and he's still around in 1,000 years, and also is a tyrant. So
yeah, I thought this one was really on the nose. I'm just like, we know that's not what happens. Like,
well, he doesn't have to worry about being forgotten. We know that, so he's not wrong.
So with all this, and it's like, all right, I know taking into account our theories that like it's not him anymore, it's the deepness or it's Rashek or whatever. But like, if it is still this guy writing this book who is the Lord Ruler, it's like, is that just what he does all day? He goes up there and he just composes really mopey poetry about how he didn't get what he wanted and like life is so cruel and everything else.
I don't know. He stopped writing in this book. Maybe that was because he started a new one. He started his poetry book.
Yeah, he's just like, Dear Diary, the sky won't do anything I say. I had to kill so many of them. Why?
I mean, Ellen did say that the Lord Ruler always looks depressed.
He said that, yep.
I just imagine him like going back to his room and playing like some My Chemical Romance or something, you know?
He's got someone in the corner playing it on a lute.
Yeah. It's like bing, 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 bing.
He's got a whole band like that just has to sit in his room and wait for him to come in.
Yeah, he's got like a medieval Gerard Way just standing there like, I'll do anything you want, Lord Ruler.
He just walks in and is like, no, I don't want to hear this song. Skip track.
It's like, maybe you'll enjoy my my Netflix adapted comic, Umbrella Academy.
So, okay. Chapter 31. We come into everyone sitting around Club's shop, or Club's clubhouse, as you guys enjoy calling it, and making fun of Breeze, because that's what you do, is you make fun of Breeze.
Like, he's complaining about how he's always the target of mockery, and I'm just like, I don't think you were at the start of the book. I think it's gotten worse as time's gone by.
Maybe. I'm trying to remember the first meeting. I feel like maybe they still made fun of him a little bit in the first meeting, but you don't want to do it too much, because you want him to join your crew, right?
Actually, now that I've said that, it's like maybe he wasn't, because at the time they had Yedden, and he was just a more obvious target of mockery.
Ooh, yep.
So now that Yedden's not around, they're just like, oh, who are we gonna make fun of all the time? Ignoring the obvious choice of Spook.
And speaking of Spook, Like, at one point, Breeze is like, this is getting juvenile. The teenage boy was the only one who found that comment amusing. And we can skip over, they're going to make him Minister of Sanitation is the joke, and then they talk about how his butt is nice, and it gets weird. And I do like Ham's line of, your witty verbal attacks have no effect on me. I'm far too dense to understand them.
I fucking love Ham.
Ham is the best. And Vin bursts into the room, all bleeding and holding her dress in her arms while still wearing her undergarments.
Oh man, and does Spook ever get the surprise of a lifetime? I mean, if this was anime, his nose would be bleeding.
Yes, absolutely.
He'd be stuffing a napkin up there.
If it was anime, I just imagine the noise. Oh!
And of course, Dockson's first statement is, "What happened to your dress?"
Yeah, and if it was anime, Dockson would have been like, "Nandate."
Yeah, okay. We've been watching Food Wars for like the last 2 weeks, and so.
Oh, dude, I love
anime's
Food
in
Wars.
my brain.
I watched that on Hulu when it came out like a couple years back.
I haven't watched it, but I remember Billy talked about it on the last episode of their podcast, and I'm like, it sounds really funny, but also super weird.
Oh,
It is
I
weird.
haven't listened to that one yet.
I think my favorite thing actually is the manga, because the manga gives you recipes for all the food they make.
Oh, interesting.
So it's like you can try to make the food. Of course, a lot of the food they make is obviously local ingredients from Japan. So it's like, well, I got to order this special fish just to make this dish. I don't know if I can do that.
This economy?
Oh, well, yeah. I like the way the anime is randomly trying to be educational too. It's like they bring up they say a word or they bring up a dish and it'll pop up a thing that's like, this word means this. And in this context, it's like funny because it sounds like this other Japanese word that means this other thing. Or it's like, this ingredient is from this region of Japan and does this. And I was like, okay, it's a weirdly educational on one end, whereas on the other end, people taste the food and it's so good their clothes explode off. So it's a very strange balance.
Yeah, it's pretty much like Mistborn: The Final Empire.
Well, Vin's clothes are off, yes, and that is what Dockson yells at her about.
Yeah.
I like how Breeze is the one who's just like, who cares about the dress? What happened to you?
Right?
It's
It's,
like,
such a weird thing for Dockson to latch
Breeze.
onto.
But also it's like Breeze is the one showing concern for other people, and it's like, Breeze does have a heart.
I also like Kelsier's like, look, Dockson's just mad. That's his way of showing that he cares. I'm sorry. That's his thing.
And I like Vin's explanation is, I think I did something bad. I kind of killed Shan Elarial.
It's like, kinda?
Mistborn, we fought, I won. And Kelsier is immediately like, you've been training for barely 8 months and you killed a fully trained Mistborn. He didn't say this, he just thinks it. He's like, holy crap. Thank you, some respect. And Kelsier, when they send Ham off to grab the bag, he's like, you might want to get something for her to wear too. I think Spook's about to have a heart attack. And there's a weird non sequitur here. I guess it's not really a non sequitur. It's just so random in the middle of this conversation where she's like, what's wrong with this? Like, it's not much more revealing than other stuff I wear. And Toxin's like, well, those are undergarments, Vin. And it's the principle of the matter. Young ladies don't run around in their undergarments. It's like, really, this is what we're stopping to talk about. All right.
He's like, yes, Dad, I'm sorry. Next time I get into a fight for my life, I'll keep my clothes on. Blimey, that was a weird sentence.
She's like, okay, keep your knickers on. I've got mine, man. It's fine.
Touche.
And Dockson is just continues with the superficials where he's like, oh, that cheek wound is going to be pretty obvious even with makeup. Do you allomancers even think about what you're going to look like the day after?
I mean,
And that's
it does sort of make sense because he's the guy who's always forward planning and thinking about the cleanup of operations, and he's just like, oh god, it's gonna take forever to fix this. Jesus Christ, guys.
Yeah, no, he's always the logical minded one, so it kind of works, except for the fact that she's still just standing there bleeding, and apparently the wound on her arm goes down to the bone, says so it's
I was confused as to how she still has her dress. She ripped it off, but she wasn't carrying it around that whole fight, so she doubled back to the Venture compound to grab her dress.
She absolutely did, and it's actually mentioned in
the
annotations where he says, let me see if I can find it. There it is. I love Vin's entrance. Perhaps I have a flair for melodrama, but I think it worked very well to have her burst in here bloodied, carrying her dress, which, of course, she went back and fetched so that it wouldn't give her away.
Yeah.
So I guess, the idea was if they found her dress, then they would know who it was exactly that was the Mistborn that was out there fighting, and you couldn't have that.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
That's what I assumed.
But yeah, so she went back in the middle of all these guards shooting at her and stuff. Yeah, she went back for the dress. But there's a reason, so And Kelsier's like, keeps coming back. He's like, why? Why would you do this, Vin? This is not only a danger to you, but to all of us. And he just, like, she kept kind of trying to dance around why she did it until finally, like, she was going to kill Elend. And now he's just, like, mad. He's a good man. He's a nobleman. So are you. And then she has her speech about how, this is not the life of a ska. Like, hanging around in suits, eating full meals, and having nightcaps with your friends. And she's like, you guys are more like noblemen than ska.
Yeah, talking about each other's butts and how they look.
So she has this outburst and then runs away feeling all guilty. What do you guys think about what she says here?
It's not wrong. She's not wrong. And I think Kelsier is man enough to admit, like, yeah, what she's saying has some merit to it. But I think she's also just saying it out of fear for herself and that she's upset, because I think if she really stopped to think about it, she wouldn't have said those things. But obviously this is a very tense moment for her. She's having to come to grips with a lot of things that have just happened, and her part in what could be the downfall of their entire plan. So she's reacting without thinking, I think, but she's not wrong.
I guess it's also pretty fresh for her. Like, I mean, she's just had Ellen leave her, and she talks about Reen leaving her and the life that she had, even though, like, it was that bad, but the people just leave her. So she's kind of thinking about that too. So it's yes, the emotion of the situation, but it's, she's gone through more in one night than what most people will have gone through. And she's just, exploding. Can't keep it in.
Mm.
It also sort of comes down to, nothing she says is invalid, but yeah, she's had an awful night, and she needs to feel like she's done something right. And so the reason that she did this is the one thing she feels that she has done right so far, at least in the last little while. And Kelsier's reaction is sort of like trying to take that away. He's trying to say, no, you did the wrong thing. And she's like, no, I did the right thing, and you don't get to tell me that it wasn't, and gives this whole rant basically to just, it sounds like, get off my back. I wanted to do the right thing. And none of them are able to really fight her on that.
Yeah, I can see that, especially, because Kelsier, like, when she says he's a good man, his response is he's a nobleman. Just by default, they're evil, which we know is Kelsier's outlook, but that's not really enough for Vin. But I think this is as close as we get to the "it sucks to be a ska" section in these chapters, because she goes through. She's like, "What do you know about ska, Kelsier? When's the last time you slept in an alley, listening to the beggar next to you cough with a sickness that you knew would kill him, or worrying about one of the men in the crew trying to rape you, or wishing you had the courage to knife the crew member beside you so you could take his crust of bread?" It's a really sad, huge paragraph of, like, the crappy crap that her life has been before this, basically.
Yep.
And then she says, "You're just noblemen without titles," and runs off.
Mic drop.
Yeah, well.
Kelsier for once found himself without anything to say. Boom.
Oh, that is something else I wanted to read, because yes, that is a very dramatic little moment. And in the annotations, right after that part about the dress, it says that he changed the last line of this scene. Up until the copy edit, the last line from Kelsier's viewpoint was him thinking, well, she certainly has changed. But it seemed like too much of a quip and undermined the tension and the emotions of that chapter. So they decided to change it away from being a snarky comment from Kelsier. Which I feel like
is a great change.
Yeah. So she goes up to the roof, and she's all angry and sad, and Kelsier comes up after her, and she's like, oh, God, I don't want to talk to him now. Not after what I just said. But he's trying to be nice to her. And he asked her, like, what really happened? And she's like, Ellen told me he didn't want to be with me anymore. And Kelsier's like, was this before or after you killed his former fiance? Which, yeah, that's a good question. I want to picture how it would have been after. Like, she kills Shan Elarial, and Ellen's like, yeah, I don't think I want to do this anymore. This is getting weird.
I think we should see other people.
And they kind of talk about how you still love people even after they hurt you, and he knows because of Mare. And she says, I loved him, Kelsier. And he says, Ellen. And she's like, no, Reen. After everything that happened, I thought about how much I hated him every day, but I loved him, and I still do, and it hurts so much, and it's so sad.
This was just brutal.
Yeah, and we've talked about before what it would be like for Reen to come back into the story, and like what that would look like. And we've really hated Reen up till this point, and he's still a jerk and did horrible things to her. But she's just like, he was her brother.
It was like there was that line in her rant. It's like, yeah, have you ever cowered before your brother as he beat you all the time, feeling thankful because you at least had someone who paid attention to you? I'm like, oof, that's a heavy load to drop.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. She's got somebody who looked out for her in a very developmental age of her life. He made normal look like something very perverted and strange, but that was what she knew. And it's like when you have somebody who's looking out for you like that, even though they don't seem to have your best interests at heart from an outsider's perspective. I'm not saying it's like a Stockholm syndrome type deal, but obviously it's like that was the only connection she had, the only blood connection she had, that she felt like even if he beats me, it's like he knows who I am, he knows me, he knows who I am, we're in this together, and then he leaves. So
yeah, that's almost, I mean, all the horrible stuff he did, but it's still, the worst part is the part where he left. Like, that's the part that she can't get over. Even though she's always like, he always told me he would. I just didn't think that. It's just such a sad relationship. And then she and Kelsier, they get into a discussion about the ska, and she kind of not reverses what she was saying, but she's like, if you were just normal ska, you wouldn't have been able to do what you did or what you are doing. And so technically they're all like half ska, all these allomancers, or maybe a little less than half, or a little more than half ska, I should say. They're half, or they all have some noble blood, is where I'm trying to go. So none of them are pure ska, but she's like, you chose to use this opportunity to help your ska half, and that makes you worthy of being a ska, which is a line that Kelsier likes. And it's a very different way of looking at it from what we've done so far. And she tells him the secret of House Venture, and that they mine the adium. And Kelsier's like, of course, this makes so much sense. And she asks him not to do anything, and he's like, I can't promise that. Venture has to fall. And then she's like, now I've betrayed Ellen also, which is also sad. But then they get into an interesting discussion where we dive some more into the depths of allomancy and the strange things that happen.
Yeah, and when they got to this part, I was like, I knew when she found the assassins, I'm like, something's going on. Like, this is not normal for her to be able to find them, because I know they've got a smoker. So I'm glad that it was addressed, because I was just like, this doesn't make any sense how she could find them.
Mm-hmm. Mm. And I mean, she likens it back to, even all the way back to her fight with the Inquisitors, when the Inquisitor found her when he shouldn't have been able to either. So there's been something going on for a while that we don't quite understand. And she says, I think maybe Mare didn't betray you, and they just sensed you coming because of her allomancy, because she was a Tenai. And Kelsier says, no, we had a smoker with us. Red was his name, with 2 Ds. It's a weird name.
Yeah, I just kept thinking, I gotta practice my stabbing, Red.
I think the second episode in a row we've made that reference.
I mean, it's a good reference. Dave Herman's a genius.
Reference. It's excellent. Yeah, we need more Futurama in our lives, obviously.
Yep.
So she's like, I think that it's possible to sense allomancy even through copper. And Kelsier's like, no, it's not. And she tries to say, I did it tonight. And he's like, no, that you must be mistaken. And they run a test. And let's see, for a moment she felt a strange, slow pulsing like a distant drum, unlike any allomantic rhythm she felt before, coming from far away. But then she can feel what Kelsier is burning right next to her. And she gets it right. It's pewter and then tin and steel. And he's like, holy crap, this is not supposed to be possible.
Yeah, it was a very like Jedi test moment where she's just like, a ship, a cup,
Yep.
a speeder, a cup.
I was thinking more like Ghostbusters when he's doing the psychic test on the girl. I was like, you're getting them all right. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, except the guy was getting them, got one of them right, and he still zapped him.
Yep. That's the best part of that scene, by the way, is like they're trying to test if shocking when they get it wrong will make them get it right, and he totally ignores when his hypothesis is actually showing some evidence to be true because he wants the girl. As somebody who has done psychological research, that's the best part of that scene. Is when he ignores the research.
Oh, Dr. Venkman.
Sorry, we're just so easily distracted from what we're talking about. But
It's fine.
So it turns out, like, Kelsier mentions that Inquisitors are also stronger. They can push and pull harder than regular Mistborn. So maybe Vin's just stronger. She's like, well, I'm not an Inquisitor. He's like, so do you guys think that this makes sense? That Vin is just somehow stronger than regular old Mist peoples?
I mean, it makes sense given what he says, where he's like, yeah, allomancers have been trying this for ages. Like, I've even tried it, and we couldn't do it. That's why we all think it's impossible. So, like, in that context, yes, yeah, there's got to be something different about Vin.
I don't think it's just as simple as saying she's strong, because surely there are strong Mistborn out there. I think it's a bit interesting, like her comments that she's like, I could still feel the Lord Ruler, even when I was trying not to. So we might talk about that a little bit later, but yeah, I don't think it's just her strength that's enabling her to do this.
Okay. And yeah, I mean, Kelsier decides that he's like, you just must be stronger than everybody else, and you should be proud of this. Like, if there's one thing I can teach you, it should be like self-confidence is what he says. And it's like, come on, we got to go get you stitched up and stuff. And she's like, I can't go and face them after that. He's like, don't worry. If you didn't say stupid things every once in a while, you wouldn't fit in with this group. And,
I think I actually laughed out loud while reading that bit.
It does end on a kind of a positive thing for her, where it's like he leads her back to the warmth of the kitchen, is what it says. And then we cut to Elend, who apparently, after some dude falls through the skylight into the middle of his meeting, he's just like, okay, let's get my secret banned books and leave. And they just went for a drive.
GTFO.
Yeah. But him and his friend Jastes just go out for a drive, and it gives them the opportunity to talk to the spies that he borrowed from his dad. Their leader is one Felt, apparently. And they traced... I guess they followed Sazed when he left the party tonight, is what it sounds like. Although they also say they've been watching the place all night, and no one mentions Vin having run in all bloody and holding her dress, but I guess maybe they aren't watching as well as they are pretending.
Well, they said they had to be careful because there were other watch nests, so maybe they were just like, while they're avoiding being spotted themselves, they missed that.
But they know that it's the shop of a master ska carpenter, one Master Cladent, which we know is Club's last name. Or name. I don't know if he has first and last name, actually. And they've been watching it, and they've spotted watch nests hidden on the roof and some surrounding, or the top floors, rather. And Ellen's like, well, that's a weird thing for a craftsman's shop. He's like, also, it turns out that, like, all the windows are sealed and soundproofed, basically. We snuck up and couldn't hear anything. And they intuit from this that it must be an underground hideout, some kind of ska thieving crew, a very well-funded and skilled one.
And they ain't wrong.
No, they are not. They are definitely not wrong. They are right on target.
You are technically correct. The best kind of correct.
Although Felt seems very skilled from that. He doesn't quite know what he's going to get into when he's like, do you want us to break in? I've got enough men to take their entire crew. And I'm like, no, man, no, you don't. You think you do. But we got 2 Mistborn in there. They would probably rip you up.
Just want to say, Dak made another Futurama reference. It was gold.
Thank you.
I am Bender. Please insert girder.
So they decide that Vin must have been just trying to rob him. She was a ska thief coming to these things to try to rob or scam him in some way. And Ellen is relieved by this. And as we talked about earlier, he's like, it's only money, Jastes, and money is kind of important to some of us, Ellen. And as Jamie said, he's like, that poor girl. All this time she must have been worrying about the scam she would have to pull on me. I don't know if it's him being continually oblivious some more, or if he's just an odd guy.
Yeah, he's definitely odd. I think he kind of explains it in his inner monologue. It's like he feels like her feelings were genuine. So the reason he feels bad is because he's like, well, I mean, she wasn't faking liking me. I'm almost certain. So she probably this is probably torturing her, having to think she has to steal from me at the same time, like falling for me or developing a relationship with me.
She didn't count on the fact I'd be so dashing and
Yeah, she didn't think about how thick my books were or anything.
There it is.
Yeah, it always has to come out at some point. The thick books always have to make an appearance.
I love our running gags.
Yeah. Volcanoes, thick books. It just never stops. Ellen makes a good point that she didn't really spend that much time with me, actually. Maybe she was after something else. Or maybe she's an informant, which I felt like he should be more worried about the possibility she was an informant, given that he told her a super important secret that she could then have turned around to sell. But maybe that's just me. But he's most impressed when he realizes she's a ska, and she was like good enough to fool us all.
She was walking and talking. It was amazing.
She knew which forks to hold.
Well, and he's like, if they're not that different from us, what right do we have treating them like we do? And Justice is like, whatever, look, that's not important right now. We're in the middle of a house war. Somebody was spying on our meeting tonight. Do you not understand how big a deal this is? And I like that they apparently think there were some spies listening at the window and one of them tripped and fell in. It was like, we were just being spied on by some terrible spies. It's fine. And Ellen ends his thing was like, it's been a productive night for us. We know some of the secrets. The spies gave themselves away and got chased off or captured. Everything's coming up Ellen.
It's like, the girl I love is actually a lowborn peasant. Awesome.
Notice of how they just got this information that is all just so right, and we're all panicking because it's like, they found out their secret, and somehow he's just not quite got there. It's like, dude, you tried.
And we talked about last time, it's like, what's going to happen once they find out these secrets? And we had all these, like, is he going to turn them in? Is he going to do this or that? And as it turns out, he doesn't really care that much.
Well,
he's
not
cool with
yet.
it.
Like, he knows what they are.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what they're up to when that comes out. Because he still hasn't twigged to the fact that she kind of gave away the whole overthrowing the Lord Ruler thing. Like, once that clicks, he might just go, shit.
It's a fair point.
But he could be sympathetic to the cause, though, because he's like, well, why do we treat them like this? Like, they're people. They're the same as us. They can be the same as us. What right do we have? Which is kind of the point.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he won't.
He will be the ambassador between their peoples, and things will be peaceful.
Yeah, if we can get rid of the Lord Ruler, maybe.
Yeah.
That's kind of the thing.
It's the big if.
Yeah, seriously.
I'll just tear up his poetry book. He'll be crying too hard to rule an empire.
He just cries.
Yeah.
Too sad without his diary.
He'd be like, dear diary, somebody stole my diary. Wait, no.
That's the real reason he had all these people executed, was because he found out someone took his diary. It's very sad.
Someone took my diary.
The Inquisitors are walking past, just like, what are you up to? He told me to go to get him some more blank books and ink. And it's like, I'm just sick of this duty.
Okay, so the next scene we get is Straff Venture is still a jerk, in case anyone was wondering. Because Ellen goes to see him, and he's just berating his guards. And Ellen's thinking they were noblemen, so Venture couldn't execute them. But he was very fond of the more brutal disciplinary forms.
Was anyone still wondering if Venture was still a jerk? Like, has there been any occasion where he has not been a jerk?
No, there has not.
It's like Shan Elarial. It's like, what you see is what you get.
It really is. You get the impression that Straff he doesn't care enough about what anyone else thinks to try to hide anything at this point, it seems like. he pulls Ellen in there, and he's like, where have you been? Oh, I left. Jeez, my fucking son. Endanger yourself if you wish. It's too bad the Mistborn didn't catch you. That could have saved me a great deal of frustration. He's just, we know, if Kliss is right at least, that Lord Venture was complicit in trying to have his son murdered. And he doesn't.
He's very open about it.
Well, I mean, he's not saying, like, yes, I tried to get them to kill you, but he's like, man, I really wish they had killed you. So he's not really trying hard to.
He's really just like, God damn it, you're alive?
Oh, and he's like, no, it's a whole. Ellen's like, so they weren't just spies? He's like, no, a whole assassination team sent after you and your friends. How do we know that it was a Mistborn? Well, our guard managed to kill her as she was fleeing. And even Ellen is like, wait, some common soldiers killed a full Mistborn. Really? And then he asks if it was anybody he knows. And he's like, yeah, Shan Elarial. And this is another anime scene for me where it's like Ellen, like the entire world around him would turn into like spirals of color as he gets like this frozen expression of shock on his face.
Yeah. He's just like, Nani?
And so he's like, man, I can't avoid politics by being part of it. I've apparently been part of it for a long time. And he realizes it's like maybe they planned on having an Elarial child become the heir to the house and then kill Ellen. And that's why they set up this marriage in the first place. So yeah, that's a fun thing to realize, that you almost got married and murdered by the same woman.
I mean, whole 9 yards, you know.
Well, yeah, that's not that she was going to murder him. She was hiring someone to do it. But yeah, that's fair.
Well, if she'd been Mistborn, I'm sure she would have done it.
If she'd been Mistborn, she would have been less annoying.
That would be a massive twist in that movie.
It would. It's like, by the way, I have magical powers.
Jimmy the Tulip's like, what the hell?
You can only get them by being French Canadian. So yes, all Mistborn are French Canadian. That's the new thing.
I mean, yeah, they were French, and like you said, there's the French influence over this book, so maybe the.
Yeah, I mean, it's adding up to me.
And I like, as his dad is explaining it, he's like, yeah, some of the guards say there was like a third Mistborn, maybe fighting the other two, but it wasn't one of ours, so I don't think that could be. And Ellen's like, well, maybe it was just somebody trying to stop the assassination after they found out about it. You know, maybe they just wanted to stop an innocent man from being murdered. And Lord Venture's like, you're an idiot, boy. You understand that, right? It's just... I hate this guy, but I kind of love him too because of how blunt and horrible he is. It's a fun kind of character.
Well, let's look at it. Yeah, exactly. But let's look at it from his perspective. I mean, he's a jerk, no doubt. But you're the most powerful guy besides the Lord Ruler in the Central Dominance, right? You got this kid. He doesn't do anything the way a man should do, in your opinion. And he just won't die. You know, it's got to be frustrating for him.
Won't die.
Yeah. And he's like, ugh, man, I barely even loved your mother, and I got to deal with you. You're the worst.
Oh, wow.
That took a dark turn. And
probably not inaccurate.
Well, no, I'm not going to say that it was, but because apparently we've learned earlier that his dad likes lots of kinds of mistresses, just whoever, basically.
Yeah, for all we know, Vin and Ellen could be sister and brother, you know?
What was the Sideshow Bob from The Simpsons?
Yeah. like you just stepped on a rake.
Okay, yeah. The end of the chapter is Ellen, I have to focus on my house surviving this house war, and after that, maybe me and Valette can work something out. So it's kind of nice.
Around the lies and the scams.
Yeah.
What's your real name?
Yeah, seriously. I assume that it's... Does he really think that it's Valette? She's used her real ska name while infiltrating this society.
I will say, though, like, from what you... Just before we end the chapter there, like you were saying earlier, it's like, I don't know what Venture gets out of this. And, like, turns out Venture actually... Like, Strap Venture worked out the best out of all this. On the one hand, he could have had his son killed and get a better heir. On the other hand, he had a member of House Elarial dead on their property after trying to assassinate his heir. And he's like, oh, cool. I can bring all my political power to bear on my rivals. I have an excuse.
Yeah. And, it looks good. He looks powerful.
Yeah. He actually came out of this probably better than anyone else.
Yeah, and even the Elarials are going to be like, wait, he killed our daughter? She was Mistborn. How did he do that?
Yeah.
What are they doing over there?
Did they put something in the water over in Keep Venture?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right that it's like everything I mean, his son didn't die like he wanted, but he comes out looking pretty good. Yeah, Ellen even thinks, he's like, with such a triumph, Lord Venture would be insufferable for days. Ellen has a whole long paragraph of thought about he wants to be in charge, but his dad's young and healthy. Shoot, not going to get to be in charge anytime soon. Poor boy. And yeah, that's the end of these 2 chapters. Anybody have some final thoughts to share on these chapters before we move into other things?
Man, I hope I hope what we've been talking about happens. I hope this thing picks up, because the combat was very exciting. So I hope there's quite a bit of falling action yet to come.
Okay. Yeah, if it slows way down again, you might be sad. I mean, we're at the end of this chapter, we're at 83%, so we have, 17% left? Not a whole lot. And some of that percentage is actually the Ars Arcanum at the end of the book, where it talks about the different powers. Like there's a whole it's called the Ars Arcanum, where it's got like charts, and it's like, here's the different metals and what they do. So that's like a percent or 2 probably.
Science.
Okay, so let us move into the trademarked predicments segment of the show. Who has some predictions to share for our predicments section?
I don't really have anything like new in terms of predictions, but I dropped a pretty big one last week.
Yep.
I still, like, for me, I don't think that's changed with the epigraph that we had in the first chapter we read this week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still kind of on that. I'm really interested to see where Vin's strength or additional power comes from. I know Joe's a fan of Vin perhaps being the Lord Ruler's daughter. If the Lord Ruler was Reshek, like I thought, he's a terraceman, what powers does he have? That coupled with allomancy, does that sort of help that additional strength in the powers? Also might explain why, she can feel his power when she's smoking as well. So I'm kind of liking those theories that we've come up with so far, but I'm definitely thinking there's going to be something important in her bloodline which enables her to be able to sense allomantic ability when she's not supposed to, which I hope we learn about soon.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, maybe she can feel allomantic pressure because of her father being the Lord Ruler. My thought on that is she felt something far away, like the beating of a drum. Like, that just makes me think, is she feeling the Lord Ruler all the way from where she is without even really trying?
That's what I thought too, yeah.
Yeah.
Because they've got a blood connection of some kind. And springboarding off of like that, and what I and Jamie have both talked about in the past, it's all about, to me, it's all about the jewelry, right? They keep saying, oh, it's just a fashion thing. But it's like her mom puts that earring on her, calls her a queen, right? We talk about who used to wear metal before the Lord Ruler, before allomancy, the terracemen. They used it for feruchemy. So the Lord Ruler is a terraceman who turned on the outsider who was supposed to be the hero, he propped himself up as Lord Ruler. He's got a sect that's loyal to him and the terracemen. They become the people who, it said in the ancient past, the noblemen that were, loyal to the Lord Ruler, he granted special powers to. So he's got his sect of terracemen. And then, of course, he's going to want to turn on all the other terracemen and the keepers who know the truth and the secrets in the past. And he's going to say, no, I got to get rid of these guys. They're not loyal to me like my special sect of terracemen are. Got to get them out of the way. So, I think we've all been building to this for a while, and I'm hoping it pays off.
So the two theories together, for some reason, really bring to mind to me the dogma scene. And Jay's just like, okay, so wait. If Vin is the Lord Ruler's daughter, and the Lord Ruler is really Rashek, then Vin is half Terrace?
Maybe.
Could explain why when she borrowed something of Say's as well, she couldn't quite access the memory, but she could sense that it was there. And that's what Say's was like.
She couldn't.
That's what it feels like when you try and access something that someone else has stored. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
You have to store it yourself.
But maybe normal allomancers can't do that. Only she can feel that extra power that she can't access because she's part Terrace or whatever.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Jack, you got something?
I have something completely unrelated to these theories. So, I'll be the odd one out. To give it context, lately I've been watching all the Planet of the Apes movies, and I mean all of them because of Poet and Billy. Listen to their podcast.
As you do.
Yeah, it was a trip, I'll tell you that. But anyway, so reading this chapter, having watched the recent ones with Andy Serkis, I remember in the second one there's the bit where the guy, they need to turn the power on, so he goes to Ape City, and he walks in, all the apes capture him, and he's just like, no, I need to talk to Caesar. And for some reason, that scene in my head is playing out here with Elend Venture. He's going to waltz right into Clubs' shop and saying, like, I need to talk to Valette, and, like, all the others just be like, well, he's found us, we got to fucking kill him now.
Ooh. That would be an interesting scene, yeah.
Because I feel like Elend is just from his head, he doesn't think things through. His friends are trying to tell him that right now. Like, he's just saying, no, you're getting robbed. And he's like, yeah, but I'm being robbed by someone who's hot. So, like, he doesn't think things through, and so now he's just like, oh my god, she's a Scar. I could have so many conversations with her and everything else. So I think he's just gonna boldly walk into this shop, and like they're all gonna catch him, and it's like, all right, we have to fuck him up. What do we do? And it's instead of Caesar, Kelsey is gonna be standing up, just going, no, my surrogate daughter likes him. We better not kill him.
I could totally see Ellen doing that, just being so oblivious to the potential danger that he's like, hey guys, so I heard that there's some Ska thieves in here, and I would like to talk to Valette, please.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is my impression of Ellen. It's like walking by a burning building, walks into the building across the street, be like, "Do you guys smell something burning?"
It's funny because it's accurate.
Poor Ellen. But he's such a nice guy. It's yeah, he's kind of oblivious. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. It's like, oh my god, the guy who fell in through the roof was trying to kill me? Oh my god!
It's so ridiculous.
I thought he just... Wait, it's even ridiculous the way he describes it to himself. He's like, yeah, I just figured he tripped and fell through the glass. Like, what? You think a trained spy tripped on the roof over his own feet and fell through the glass?
He's just like listening to the guy's dying gasps. It's like, what is that you're saying? I think he's asking to borrow a cup of sugar.
Oh, I didn't even mention that, but Venture says that they didn't capture any alive because the one in Ellen's room was dead when he fell through, and Ellen's like, no, I know that he was alive. I saw this before we left. What is my dad up to? So there's another just little
tidbit.
Yeah.
Your dad, the dick, is up to dickish things.
Well, yeah. Who would have thought it? Who would have thunk it? So for next week, I'm going to go ahead and touch on this now. We will be reading 3 chapters, 32, 33, and 34. And you guys, I think, will be very grateful that I am not making you stop after 33. I'm just going to say that much.
Ooh.
So before we move out of the predicaments thing totally, I want to get a quick idea from you, and we're going to go into this maybe more next time, but just a quick thought. How do you think at this point, when we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 chapters and an epilogue left in this book, about...
What is that? Jesus.
17%. How do you guys think that this is going to end? Just like big picture. Are we going to beat the Lord Ruler? Are we going to fail and, have to regroup for the next time? Is something completely out of left field something strange is going to happen entirely? How are we going to end this book?
I don't think we're going, I don't know that we're going to defeat him in this book. We haven't actually met him yet. So with only, 17% to go, it just feels a little bit strange that it would be like the Lord Ruler rocks up and it's like, boom, dead, gone, defeated. Another arrow through the heart probably won't do it, Just
Bon Jovi's not coming back.
Just because it worked on Shan doesn't mean it'll work on the Lord Ruler. I don't think we'll have the answers that we want at the end of this book. I do expect to see probably some kind of battle. I think Erland is a bit slow on the uptake, but I think he will probably convert sides. I don't think he'll stay loyal to his house. He does want a better future. I think Erland has definitely got bigger part to play in the whole story. I'm not quite sure where he'll fit in yet, but I also don't think that we'll get those answers in the rest of this particular book. I think a lot of what we're looking for we probably won't see until later.
All right. Jack, what about you? How's it going to end?
I don't know. I feel like they're really ramping up their plans to attack the stations, and I don't know if that's going to be a trap or not. But if it is, I feel like they'll probably swing it to their advantage somehow. I've been thinking since the start that they are going to topple the Empire successfully. I don't think Lord Ruler's going to die. I think he himself might escape, but he'll escape into the wilderness, and no one will know where he is. So I think that'll make him more dangerous for future books. But I think the overall goal of bringing down the Empire is going to succeed. I agree. I think Elend is going to switch sides and work with them. Like, I may as well make an official prediction. I threw it out as a joke earlier, but he will be the ambassador between the former noble factions and the Scar, which for some of the noble people is going to go down like a lead balloon because they'll see him as a traitor, but whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, on the whole, I think they will survive. I feel like not everyone's going to make it out of the book alive. I'm kind of leaning towards Clubs at this point because we really haven't had much to do with Clubs. He's kind of just given them a house and then not really been around visibly. And even when they have the group meetings, I know it's his thing to not talk much. Like every so often we'll just get, oh yeah, and Clubs was there too. But I feel like he's easily the least developed of the crew, so I think he's gonna die because he's an established character, and they'll show the stakes are real. Spook maybe as well, maybe.
You got the whole family, okay?
Yeah.
Wuzzing with the death.
Dying with the spear.
Oh god. With Clubs, I mean, Vin's sort of had one-on-one time with, I think, everyone else now, but not Clubs yet. And maybe Clubs' lesson is still to come because he is really good at what he does. And I think that's interesting that the lesson we haven't had yet, and that's the one where a lot of our questions lie about being able to penetrate that cloud. So
yeah,
I'm not sure that Clubs will die.
Has she had a one-on-one with like Spook?
No, but
No.
Spook's, that I don't know if the Spook would be able to teach her anything.
Also,
Can't understand him. So.
Right. Is it also, I feel like, again, maybe I'm underestimating it, but I feel like being a Tin Eye is like the most obvious of them. It's like your senses are better.
Maybe. I felt like Strength was kind of the most obvious of them, but I can see why you'd say that. Yeah. Okay. Joe.
Predictions. So this is what I hope happens. I hope they come into some kind of fight with the Lord Ruler, and maybe the Lord Ruler is defeated, and Kelsier and the Lord Ruler are matching together in combat, and the Lord Ruler actually, while being defeated, defeats Kelsier at the same time, or the Lord Ruler's defeated, the deepness like flies out of him and then attaches itself to Kelsier. And then like Vin has to go on some epic quest to learn about the deepness so that she can defeat her surrogate father / evil. And maybe that's when Club's lessons will come in. It's like, okay, you're going to have to learn how to hide all the time. So you're going on this quest and here's what you're going to do. And maybe that's why we haven't got to Clubs yet. His part's coming up in the next book maybe. That I think that'd be a pretty interesting turn.
Okay.
Well, I mean that sort of makes sense because the second book is called The Well of Ascension, so if she has to go on a quest to figure this shit out, that's probably where she would go.
Yeah. For some reason, when you're talking about like Kelsier and the Lord Ruler, like defeating the Lord Ruler, but also being defeated, I was just in my mind you were gonna be like, and so he's standing over the Lord Ruler, and then the Lord Ruler's like, Martha.
What was that name?
No, he's gonna say Mare.
Yeah, I was about to say he's gonna say Mare.
Mare. Yep.
What was that name?
Why'd you say that name?
Why'd you say it?
That was his mother's name. What?
The Lord Ruler's mother was Mare. Oh my gosh, it all makes so much sense now.
What?
It doesn't at all. It doesn't.
Not even a little.
Yeah, he's like, thank you, mother, for bringing me these people.
So let's move to we got some emails this week. We got 3 different emails this week that I was going to read.
All right.
We got one from Jason, and Jason says, hey, I have a few spoilers, so don't show it to the others or omit them if you read this on the air. I guess I didn't need to read that part. But he says, I've been really enjoying your podcast and have been listening to it while rereading the books. It's a lot of fun to see your wild theories and not so wild theories. I like the idea of doing a best predictions thing at the end. And he's like, there's even one in particular that I rewinded to make sure I heard it correctly. And I won't say which one that is. That's what he also says that afterwards he would love to see us do talk about something like how obvious some things were in hindsight that we find by the time we get to the end. Thanks for a great podcast, Jason. So thank you, Jason. Appreciate the positive thoughts. I like hearing nice things. The second one is from Retro Rocket, and he says, hey, or she could be, I don't want to be gender ignorant. Hey, so I just want to say that I love your podcast. It's interesting hearing this read this way with all the theories and stuff. I tend to read really fast. I think on my first read, I read it in 3 to 4 days, and so I didn't have time to think through everything. I love all the stuff that you guys are catching and some things that are deliciously wrong. Okay, I won't. He talks about they talk about some of their favorite theories, but I'm not going to read that part because it might give something away here. Oh, and they warn us about how the afterword to the 11th metal has some spoilers, which I mentioned before, but we'll get to. I'm going to be very specific about that before we're moving into reading that. So thank you, Retro Rocket. I'm glad that you're enjoying. And I know what you mean. We've talked about it before, but I also tend to read really fast. So I didn't stop and think about anything the first time I read through these.
So do I. I read very fast, and this is incredibly difficult at times. It's like, God damn it.
Yeah.
Finish the book.
Yeah, I've found myself having to read like 3 other books at the same time so that I'm not like trying to read this one.
Yep.
Well, you could read the new Dresden Files that just came out.
I'm not caught up. I'm only on White Knight. Give me a break.
Honestly, not the best one. They had to divide the book into 2 books, and it's pretty clear that it's like half the story. So,
well, why do you think I've been stuck on it for like 10 years?
Oh no, we're talking about the new one.
Yeah, the new one. Sorry.
Oh, the new one. That's
yeah.
Sucks.
It started as 1 book and it was too big, so they had to cut it into 2.
Which on some levels is ridiculous because like Brandon's books are way bigger than any even double Dresden Files book, but apparently his publisher is like, no, we can't print a book this big.
We can't print a book this big.
Well, okay, so they said they could, but it would cost like $60.
Oh.
Like, no, come on, this is ludicrous.
I
Like,
mean, yeah, that
there's
is
much bigger
crazy.
books selling for cheaper. But anyway.
I mean, when the 5th Harry Potter book came out, I think it was $35. Of course, that was in 2002.
Yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, anyway, still enjoyed it. Still enjoyed Peace Talks, but it's clearly half of a story. So.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, me and Dak won't keep everyone on Dresden Files forever because it's awesome. But yes, everyone go read Dresden Files while you're waiting for the next episode of our amazing podcast. Okay, sorry. 3rd email. This one is just signed Songbird. It says, I just discovered your show on Apple Podcasts and binged all the episodes in a few days. You guys are awesome, and this is a really fun way to experience this story again. Joe's random references especially always get me laughing. Keep up the Final Fantasy talk. Don't let Data stop you.
I'm glad to know there's a fellow fan of my random references.
It is still so weird to me to think to myself, wow, we have fans. Just like,
people who listen and like it.
Listeners.
Listeners. I feel like that's a more polite way. But yes, I appreciate everyone who likes listening to these and hearing all of this. And this person thinks it's really fun. So
yeah, I hope you also like Futurama because we love it.
Sorry, I didn't actually finish this email. It says, thanks so much for making these, and please keep doing Into Well of Ascension. I assume that's going, or keep doing this.
Hey, he's talking like Spook. It's fine. Leave him alone.
Do it with the welling of ascending.
I can't wait to hear what parallels he manages to find in that story. I assume still referencing Joe. This person is a big Joe fan.
Hey, I'm not a big Joe fan, so I'm glad somebody is.
So if anyone wants to hear more of Joe's patented comedy, where can they find you on YouTube?
Oh, yeah, I have a YouTube channel It's called Joe Show Play. No spaces. I haven't posted there in a while. The last thing I did was Final Fantasy VII Remake videos, because if you haven't been able to tell right now, I'm a huge Final Fantasy VII fan. So that's probably the last thing I've had on my channel, so I haven't posted in there in a while. But yeah, check it out if you're interested.
Dak, Jamie, if you guys want to plug anything, feel free. Since we had a Joe plug.
I don't have anything like that at this stage. So.
Well, no, Dak is going to be on the Poet and Billy podcast, right? You just did an episode last night.
Yes, that should be coming out soon. Actually, it was funny. I might as well bring this up now. So a few weeks ago, Jamie and I listened to another episode of the Poet and Billy podcast, and as we're listening, Jamie just goes, "They really do just talk about anything, don't they?"
They sure do, Jamie.
And then So yesterday when we were recording, I mentioned that to Poet and Billy, and they lost their collective shit. Like, that was the funniest thing they'd heard all day, because my comedy wasn't good enough for them. And so Poet straight away went to Podbean and to Apple and everything else and edited the description of their podcast to include, those quotes you have on the backs on movie posters saying this movie was amazing, 4 stars and everything else, and then credit who it was for. He added that to their description. It's like, they really just talk about anything, don't they? And credit to Jamie of the Sanderlanche.
Yay!
Nice.
That's awesome.
So, Poet and Billy are friends of ours, and if anyone cared to listen to them talk about random crap, our Podbean, the Sanderlanche account, does follow the Poet and Billy Show Podbean account. You can find it there. I don't know, are plugging random things. Although, sort of on the topic of this show, since we were talking about Final Fantasy, it reminded me, Brandon Sanderson has a newsletter that he sends out maybe a couple times a year. And in the most recent one, and you guys, if any listeners aren't signed up for the newsletter, go to his website and sign up. It's really awesome. The last one had a preview chapter of the upcoming Rhythm of War, which is coming out in November. But also in that newsletter, he had a new section in the most recent one where he's like, I get asked these sort of questions a lot at conventions and signings and things, so I decided to put some stuff in here just to help you guys get to know me personally more. So he did his top 10 favorite video games. Only allowing for one video game from any particular franchise, but the Final Fantasy game that was in his top 10 was Final Fantasy X, which he said was his favorite Final Fantasy game, despite the fact that he has played all of them and loves all of them, he said. And I just want to say, Brandon, if you're out there, you're not right. You're incorrect. That is not the
It's certainly not.
Is Joe about to quit this podcast?
Game. No. I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I would say, it's in the top 5, but it's not number 1.
It's actually a really good game, and he pointed out when he talked about it in the newsletter that it's the first one that's fully voiceover acting, which
that's true.
Adds a whole lot. And he liked that the protagonist wasn't like your general JRPG, like moody teenage guy. He felt it was a well-adjusted guy, which I don't know that I see.
I don't agree with that. That guy's got a lot of daddy issues.
He has so many daddy issues, but that's my main issue with Final Fantasy X is Titus. I hate him so much.
Yeah, he's very obnoxious.
He brings the whole thing down. And while Yuna is one of my top 10 Final Fantasy of any game characters, I love Yuna. Mm-hmm. It bothers me that she falls for him so completely, and she deserves so much better than Titus. So
I really feel like they just, at the time, they couldn't bring themselves to make the protagonist a female, but I feel like that is exactly what they should have done. They should have just made Yuna the main character, for sure.
Like she is in Final Fantasy X too, which I would have accepted as a favorite game because it's awesome. It's not most people's favorite, but still.
Yeah, it's like the guys who made Final Fantasy X were like, let's do mushrooms and then make another one.
Okay, so hopefully Songbird, that was that person. Hopefully you enjoyed that Final Fantasy side trip that still retained relevance to the topic of the show.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad Brandon likes a Final Fantasy game. That's cool.
He likes all of them. He said that he's played all of them, and he enjoys. We'll just look at his top 10 list real quick while I'm talking about it.
Right. Number 9, Chump.
See what else is on there.
Number 8,
that was
Chumpette.
Number 10 is Katamari Damacy, which I agree, that's an awesome game. Fallout New Vegas, Undertale, Super Mario World.
Super Mario World is good.
Breath of the Wild, which Dak is playing right now.
Fantastic.
Oh my god, that is addictive.
Yeah, it really is.
It so is. And I told you we got like we bought a whole thing to like spoof amiibos so we get the bonuses from different amiibos when we were playing that game. Halo 2, which he explains he feels is the best Halo game, but it's underrated by other people.
I think the story is the best story of any Halo game, and if that's where he's coming from, I agree.
I agree.
Civilization 6. Sorry, Roman numerals, they throw me a little bit sometimes. Anyway, sorry, we won't go deep into all of that. Sign up for the newsletter is basically that. Not you three, you can't do that, but anyone else.
Oh yeah.
Sign up for the newsletter.
Spoilers.
Okay. That concludes our emails that we received. Thank you, everyone. If anyone else wants to send emails, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. You can also find us on Twitter @thesanderlanche, on Facebook, on Instagram. Is that all the places? That may be all the places.
Please draw sections from the book and that we've described and send them to us.
Some people want art. Joe wants music. I just want you guys to listen and enjoy. I'm not going to ask any more than that. So,
I mean, we never ask our audience for anything, right?
We're not asking, we're just encouraging them. It's like, this would be cool if you did that.
Anyway, so like I said, next week, chapters 32, 33, and 34. Altogether, it's not the longest chunk of text that we've done, but it's like the third longest. So it may be a longer episode with 3 chapters that are relatively long, but they're really good chapters. And like I said, you guys would hate me if I made you stop at 33, I suspect. So enjoy. And music by Miracle of Sound. Anything else we want to touch on before we leave? I think that's all I got.
Nope.
Be excellent to each other. And party on, dudes.
Yeah. You listened. You can't unlisten.
I was trying to think of a Futurama to go out on. That's a good one. Okay. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will see you next time.
Bring up the brother in me. I'm searching for unity. Everything is changing inside of me. The city's under my feet. The ruin I'm feeling. Everything is changing inside of me. Révolution dans les roues. Je vois le chaos en dessus. La justice est une rivière rouge. Je te cherche et tout.
I almost hung up instead of just stopping the recording.
We're done.
Yeah, that would have been.